you ever get a call that, before you even answer the phone, you kind of already know that it's bad news without any warning or anything? It's just like innately, something's probably not good on the other end of that. I got that call on September 12th, 2024. It was a Thursday, and I got a call from my youngest brother. And, usually the way that we communicate, mostly through text, rarely through a phone call, and especially during the middle of the day on a weekday. It's just not really something that's in the cards. Not saying that things can't happen or whatever, but that's just kind of how things go. And so I got this call, and I looked at it and I answered the phone, and our brother called my name, and I said, "What's up?" And I just, the way that he called my name already confirmed that it wasn't, it wasn't good. So he tells me that our father has passed away, and that was a lot, obviously. So my initial reaction was, I said, "Stop playing." And my brother, I know my brother well enough, and I knew he wasn't playing, but I think there was just the shock of how of what happened and how quickly it happened. Um, you know, yeah, this this is a situation I haven't really been in, and for me, you know, I'm at the age now, 38, where even at this age, I haven't had lost any of my grandparents, and until last month, I had never lost a parent. So this space is real new to me, and so it was a shock. Um, Before I get any deeper in it, so my name is Stephen J. Gaither. I am a journalist, a storyteller, a creator, and this is my YouTube channel. It's still evolving as I'm evolving, but I appreciate anybody who subscribes to the channel. Definitely looking to bring uplifting content, real life, I guess, behind the scenes of being who I am, being a creator, being a creative person, someone who makes their living on the internet, and just a real person and a real human being. So I appreciate everybody who's made it this far. Anyway, so a little backstory. So my father was 59 when he passed away. As a matter of fact, his birthday was the previous Friday, and again, he died on Thursday. This is the following Thursday. So this shows you how quickly things change. And I knew he had some health issues and challenges that had taken him out of work. But as far as I knew, he was doing what he could to manage them, and still, modifying and living in the confines of what he could do in his current state. But he was still, able to be somewhat active, not quite the way that he wanted to, but yeah. And so again, I think for me, it's just the quickness in which everything happened really has been tough to deal with, if I'm being honest, because I knew coming into this year that this was going to be a year for me personally, that growth and evolution and things, a milestone year. If you've watched the channel before, you know me. I have a daughter. She was born in April, and actually, my father passed literally 5 months after she was born. He passed on a Thursday, and on that Monday, I had my daughter for the first time overnight by myself, and he didn't know that, but instinctively, he sent me a text that night and asked how she was doing, giving me some advice about some things to do for her. And I said, you know what? His birthday was the other day. I didn't get a chance to call him. I didn't take the time to call him. And now that I have my daughter here, let me get him on video chat. And he and I have probably never video chatted before. He might have called me on video chat with someone else before, but it's not a thing that we would normally do. But I hopped on video chat. I had to do it via Facebook, Facebook Messenger, because he was Team Android. But hopped on there, and he was just giddy to see my daughter. He took it to his wife, Monica, and my bonus mom, and she was there, and they were just kind of just being enraptured by her face. She is beautiful. She looks just like me. Shout out to her mother, who is amazing, and I appreciate her. But she looks a lot like me. And my dad, one of the last things I remember my dad saying to me was talking about connecting, features from her to me to him, and in a joking way. And he was just in a really good mood and really happy about it. And I'm grateful that he was able to see me have my daughter. Thanks again to her mother for making sure that he got a chance to see her multiple times while they were both on this earth. And so and even after he passed, I talked to my bonus mom, and she was like, yeah, he just wouldn't stop talking about about your little girl and how pretty she was and all these things. And so now every time that I look at my daughter, I think about my father. Got this to wear around as well. So but yeah, as the oldest child, I felt like I had to be there. So obviously I cried my tears, and not only just the first day, but for several days in between. But I did what I had to do as far as making sure just being there, supporting and just making sure everything was good. And his service went well. It was beautiful. Everyone's doing their best to deal with it. I do feel like he was taken very abruptly. But I think one of the ways that I've coped with it, especially initially, was trying to rationalize that I felt like he was in a better place. I'll be frank, I felt like he was in heaven with God. And, that brings me peace. And I think for me, the biggest part of dealing with the grief is just really how quickly it happened. It's one of those things where, maybe part of you feels like you wish you wish that there was more of a runway to what happened. But that's selfish, because that would mean that, it would be prolonged pain and suffering. And, it may be more convenient for those of us who are on the other side of it, but for the person who's actually going through it, I think about it from that end. So, yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing has just been dealing with learning how to grieve and grief. I have, lost people before that I cared about and things like that. And some family members. But again, at my age, almost 39 years old, I still have all of my grandparents. And so even my parents, even my mother, couldn't really relate to exactly what is going on with myself and my brothers, because, her parents are still alive and doing well, praise God. But, it's just a reminder that, life is not linear. You don't really know. You assume, they always say that, parents never want to bury their children, and, you assume that your parents will go before you. But I'll be honest with you, I thought I had more time, and now there's also the thoughts of, or the feelings of, conversations that were never had, or words that were left unsaid. I know my brother talked about in the funeral, and I, echo the same thing. My dad really wasn't the type of person that you didn't really get a lot of I love yous, but you knew that he loved us and he cared about us. I grew up with him in my home, and not a lot of men can say that. Not a lot of people, not a lot of men, not a lot of black men can say that. And I was blessed to have a father for 39 years, so I try to think about those things as well, and just really try to deal with what's going on and finding the balance between allowing myself to think and feel and grieve and not allowing myself to sink into something deeper. And, maybe I'm fooling myself to think that there is a balance. Um, I will say I've had a lot of great help from loved ones, friends. I posted on Twitter about my father's passing, and I don't think he knew. I don't know if he knows 20 people that are on Twitter, but so many people came and gave me condolences and their thoughts and prayers and kind words, and I appreciate them all. People have been amazing. Um, so dealing with it, that helps me deal with it. Again, the thoughts of what it is, that he's, in a better place, that he's at peace, that he's, at a place where he can go back and he can watch his Dallas Cowboys, some of the medications they were on, he was on, he wasn't able to do that and move as freely and do as much as he wanted to do. And so, knowing those type of things kind of keep me grounded and keep me okay. But then I think I'm finally understanding what people say when grief comes in pockets, and there'll just be certain things like certain songs. My dad was huge into music, so certain songs will make me think about him. And even, when I look at sports, particularly football, I will think about him, and that's my job, is watching sports, watching football and things like that. And so I find myself thinking about him, and I didn't even realize how much viewing sports and things like that were tied to him. And so there's just so many things. And, again, family, friends, loved ones have been great. People on the internet, my therapist has been great as well. Again, coming into this year, there were so many things that I personally wanted to, that I knew were on the horizon. And so, I've been in therapy working on those, trying to, figure things out, trying to prepare for things. And I wasn't preparing for the death of my father. I wasn't trying to prepare for that. But I do think some of the mechanisms that I've learned through therapists, and shout out to my therapist, she's amazing. I got her through BetterHelp. I'm not sponsored by them yet. I would love to be. But, I think just as a black man, therapy, even therapy is something that's often shunned. A couple years ago, I told my father that I was going to go to therapy, and he really wasn't. He kind of bristled at it a little bit. You know what I mean? But I understand. Men of his generation, black men of his generation, a lot of them, they don't see the need, or they haven't found themselves at that place yet. So I get it. But for me, it's been great. It's helped me cope with a lot of things. It helped me deal with a lot of thoughts and feelings that I had about my father, to be honest with you. And I was able to talk to him about some of that stuff. And he and I had some really good conversations in the last couple of years. And, I think that's part of the mourning process too. Again, is mourning some of the conversations that we didn't have, but also reflecting on the ones that we did have, and some of the things that I resolved inside myself, that when I was able to see him in the casket, which was tough. I didn't really want to do, but I was able to have peace in my heart, not only knowing where he was going, but knowing also that I would be okay, and knowing that he trusted in myself and my brothers that we would be okay in this world, that we would be okay in this world without him. And, it's something that, continues to deal with. I know some days I feel like I'm doing okay. Some days I don't really want to get out of bed. Now, I'm not going to act like that wasn't a thing before this happened. But some days I'm like, man, it's just like, you got to keep on, you got to keep moving, you got to keep going. So it's a process, but I'm allowing myself to feel it, allowing myself to go through it. And for anybody out there who has gone through this, if there are any tips you want to leave in the comments, I know this is running a little long, but just kind of bearing my soul here. I don't know, I'm not expecting this to go viral or anything like that, but maybe someone else will find themselves in the same situation, and hopefully they'll find something from this. They'll know that they're not alone. Every day is precious. Life is precious. And so many times we hear that and it kind of goes in one way and one ear and out the other. But it really is when you sit down and think about it. And you know, as I move forward, with my life, and being a father, and everything else that comes with it, like, you know, there's one day that I'm gonna be gone too. And you know, every day until then, I feel like there is something to put together and build upon, and make memories, and live in the moment, and be make the life that you want. And so that's where I am right now with it. I may check in at a later time. I'm sure the holidays are going to be, difficult, or definitely different, because he was definitely the one who did all the cooking, and gathering at his place and things like that. So, he will be missed. He is missed, but he's forever in my heart, and right here as well. And again, I appreciate everyone who took the time to listen to this, and that can relate to it. Drop me a comment. Let me know if you've gone through this, or if if you haven't. Some tips for other people, that how they get prepared for something like this. So I appreciate everybody for listening. Please hit that subscribe button. Going to be bringing you guys some more content, and yeah, looking forward to it. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.